It may not seem like it, but properly adjusting your bean-to-cup machine is crucial for making a great espresso. Sure, it can brew a decent coffee right out of the box, but you can significantly improve the results by adjusting your Magnifica Evo correctly. Hi everyone, my name is Colin, welcome to Cafe Lista. Today I'll walk you through how to fine-tune the Delonghi Magnifica Evo to get an espresso worthy of its name. And I know adjusting a machine can seem intimidating, but I'll show you how to do it step by step. Before diving into the technical detail, a quick disclaimer. So every coffee is different. Each machine can be also a bit different in its own way, and everyone's taste is also different. So what I'm going to share are tips that should apply to most situations, especially to the Delonghi Magnifica Evo machines. However, don't forget that your grinder settings might differ slightly from mine, depending of course of the coffee. And ultimately, having a good coffee beans is the foundation and everything else is secondary. I will provide a link for a great coffee right down below. Also, having a precision scale will help tremendously when adjusting your machine. First, let's start by discussing our goal. Here, of course, we want to make a perfect espresso. But what does that mean? Espresso for those machines is the foundation. It's the base that ensures that all other drinks are great. An Americano is just an espresso with water. A cappuccino, it's an espresso with milk foam. The same goes for all the drinks of your Magnifica Evo. So everything starts with an espresso, and our goal is to make it good, of course, but like well balanced. Not too sour, not too bitter. We are aiming also at a slow extraction, but not too slow, no dripping. And if your coffee takes forever to flow, it's probably time to adjust the grinder. A good extraction here should be smooth, consistent, so the coffee can have that nice crema and that great body. Okay, let's start. First, we are going to set the temperature to the maximum. With the Magnifica Evo, you have the ability to set the extraction temperature. As I showed you in the review of the Evo, the first coffee tends to come out a little lukewarm. So we'll set the temperature to the maximum. So why? Two reasons. Because it helps extract more coffee, and of course to keep our espresso hot longer so we can enjoy it. Cold coffee is not great. How to do it on the Evo? You hold the small wheel for 5 seconds, wait for the panel to flash, then press the first drink button. So it may vary depending on the model. For me, it's the My Latte option. Then set it to the intensity level 3, which corresponds to the maximum temperature. Now that it's done, we are going to weigh the coffee dose. So if you really want to master the art of espresso, you will need a scale. And no, it's not just for professional baristas, it's simply a tool that allows precision. And it can help even with a bean-to-cup machine. So here, we'll choose the intensity of our espresso, and we will also choose a single or double. For the example, we'll stick with intensity 3, the maximum, and single espresso. To measure, it's quite simple. You start an espresso, and once the grinding cycle is finished, press the espresso button again to stop that cycle. The ground coffee falls into the container, and then we will measure it from there. But make sure to empty and dry your container beforehand, otherwise the results will be inaccurate. One more thing to note, the weight might vary slightly depending on your coffee, as the machine adjusts the coffee based on the volume of coffee. So we can see some variation based on the beans used. For me, at maximum intensity, the weight is usually between 13 and 14 grams. In that case here I have 13.7 grams. I know it may seem fussy, but the scale allows you to recreate the same recipe and to record the right setting. Now that we know the dose, we can better adjust the volume in the cup. Step number 5, choose the right volume in the cup. In general, we often talk about a ratio of 1:2 or 1:3 for espresso. But what does that mean? Well, it refers to the amount of ground coffee versus the amount of liquid extracted in your cup. For example, with a ratio of 1:2, if we used 10 grams of coffee, you should get around 20 grams of espresso in your cup. It's not a strict rule, but it's a good starting point for a classic espresso. With the bean-to-cup machines, it's better to increase this ratio a little bit, usually aiming for 1:3, 1:3.5. So for 10 grams of coffee, we will aim for 30, 35 or 40 grams in the cup. The idea is to have a good base to adjust from. If your cup starts to feel like a filter coffee, you've probably added too much water. And if you get less than 30 milliliters, 30 grams, it might be too strong and also under-extracted, often resulting in too much acidity. So with 13.7 grams of coffee, and we aim for a ratio of 1 to 3, we will be looking at 40 grams in the cup. To adjust the cup volume on the Evo, simply hold the button during the extraction. You will see the button for espresso will flash a little bit. When you're close to the right amount, press again once you have the correct volume. That way, the machine will remember and will always deliver the right amount of coffee. Again, here, using a scale will help us a lot. So I'm setting my espresso here to about 40 grams in the cup, which gives us a pretty good result. But then we can improve that. Step number 6, we will check the extraction and adjust the grinder. Next, we'll observe the extraction. This is where things get interesting. If your coffee flows too quickly, the grind is too coarse. In that case, adjust the grinder a notch or two finer. If it flows too slowly or gets blocked, the grind is too fine. Here, adjust the grinder a bit coarser. The Magnifica Evo, as you probably know, allows you to adjust the grind size using a dial in the bean hopper here at the top. Make adjustments gradually and observe the results. And remember, usually you need 2-3 coffee to really taste the difference. Never make drastic changes or your machine won't be happy. Ideally, your espresso should flow in a thin, steady steam with a beautiful golden color. A good espresso is all about the balance between the coffee quantity, grind size and extraction time. So now, let's talk about extraction time. Well, this is directly related to the grind size. So it's like a domino effect. If the grind size is too fine, the water will struggle to pass through and the extraction will take too long. Not a good coffee. If it's too coarse, it will flow too quickly and again, not a great coffee. Ideally, extraction should be between 20 to 30 seconds for a traditional espresso machine. However, with the bean-to-cup machines, we probably won't be able to stay within the same range. Why? Because we don't have the same capacity to adjust our grinder. 13 position is great for a bean-to-cup machine, but not enough to really fine-tune our extraction time. But that's okay, your espresso will likely flow faster, it's normal. If you hit 20 seconds, it's already pretty good. So we won't stress too much about timing, as the grinder adjustment, as I said, are somehow limited. Aim for the slowest possible extraction without dripping. In our first example, we saw that the espresso was flowing a little bit too quickly, so we'll adjust the grinder to make it a bit finer. So I'm setting here my grinder to the position number 2 and giving it another try. And now, as you can see, we are around 17-18 seconds with a slower flow, no dripping. It's good. That's exactly what we want. I tried the espresso, it's more balanced, and we are starting to get a solid base. Now, another tip that many people forget. Preheat your cup. Espresso is hot, but it cools down very quickly, especially if you pour it into a cold cup. The simple solution is to preheat your cup by rinsing it with hot water or using the machine hot water function. I know it's a small step, but that makes a big difference in keeping your coffee at the right temperature, especially for the first coffee from the Evo. Don't change those settings for cappuccino, americano or longer coffee. It should stay the same. Now, what about milk drinks? Cappuccino, latte macchiato? So we have our good espresso. Then the key here is to have the milk at the right temperature, the right texture. The Magnifica Evo comes either with the steam one or the latte crema system. There is no set rules here. It really depends what you like. Do you prefer a cortado, a small amount of milk, or do you prefer a latte with a lot of milk? Two things to keep in mind here that's going to help you. Make sure that the milk is cold before frothing. It will help create the creamy texture. That's really important. Whole milk will also work best. But you can also use plant-based options. It's possible. The foam, the milk won't be as fine, as textured as a classical milk, but it still make pretty good drinks. Here, feel free to get creative. A little milk for cortado, more for a cappuccino. You've got the flexibility. Now you know how to properly adjust your Delonghi Magnifica Evo for a perfect espresso. I know there are a few steps to follow, but once you get the hang of it, your espresso should taste much better. And remember, each adjustment matters. Don't get discouraged if it's not perfect right away. Practice will make it perfect. And in this case, every taste is just another excuse to enjoy more coffee. If you like this video, I recommend checking out this one. I'm pretty sure you will find it interesting. As usual, I see you soon. I hope you're having a good day. Ciao.